Namaskar and welcome. Today we're going to explore a mystery that, well, it touches every single one of us. This isn't some abstract question for a laboratory. It's for anyone who's ever quietly watched a child sleep.
You've seen it, haven't you? A sleeping child, and suddenly their face just lights up in a smile. Or maybe it crumples for a moment, and a single tear escapes. What's going on in there? Some people say they're talking with angels. But what if? What if they're not just dreaming about the future, but actually remembering a past we can't even begin to imagine? To understand how that's possible, we have to completely rethink what memory really is.
You know, we tend to think of memory as something that happens up here, in the brain. It's about recalling facts, remembering faces, what we had for lunch. But what if that's only scratching the surface? What if that's just half the story? Ancient wisdom tells us that true memory is something far, far deeper, a power that exists beyond our physical brain.
Now, pay close attention to the key word here, recreation. Memory, or smriti, isn't like just pulling a file out of a cabinet. No, it's an active process of rebuilding a past perception. But think about it for a second. When you try to remember something from way back in your childhood, the details get a bit fuzzy, don't they? The brain's copy fades. So that brings up a huge question. If the brain's copy is getting worn out, where is the original blueprint stored?
Well, the answer lies in this incredible idea that each of us is running two separate recording systems all the time. One is sort of like a temporary sketchpad, just capturing what's happening right now. But the other is an indestructible, permanent archive.
So, on one side, you have cerebral memory, the brain's whiteboard, you could say. It's super useful for day-to-day life, but over time, the writing fades. But at the exact same time, every single experience, every thought is being etched into a permanent, non-physical medium. This is extra-cerebral memory. It's not stored in our nerve cells, it's recorded in something called mind stuff.
This eternal archive is called the citta. Now, this is more than just a spiritual hard drive, it's the very fabric of our individual consciousness. Every action, every thought leaves an impression here, a little ripple of energy called a samskara. And here's the thing about the citta. Unlike the brain's whiteboard, on the citta, nothing ever gets erased.
Now, if this is true, it changes everything. If our truest self, the total sum of all our experiences, is stored in this non-physical citta, then what happens to it when the physical brain stops working? What happens after death?
To understand the mind's journey, it helps to think of it in three layers. The crude mind is the surface level. That's us, right now, our waking thoughts. Go a little deeper and you find the subtle mind, which is where we go when we dream. But deeper still is the causal mind. This is like the vast, silent ocean of consciousness we enter in deep, dreamless sleep. And it is right here, in this deepest layer, that the citta, our permanent archive, resides.
And this leads to an absolutely stunning redefinition of death. From this viewpoint, death isn't an ending at all. It is simply a long sleep in the causal mind. The physical body might be gone, but the mind, the citta, just withdraws into its deepest core, carrying with it everything it has ever been.
And this is where the great cycle begins. After this long sleep, the mind, still carrying all the energy of its past experiences, its samskaras, is naturally drawn to find a new physical form, a new brain to express itself through. It is reborn. And the most crucial part is this. In that new life, the permanent extra-cerebral memory is still very much alive.
And just like that, we come full circle. We have our answer. For the first few years of a new life, a child's brain is basically a blank canvas. There isn't much new information yet, so the echoes from the causal mind, those memories of the life they just lived, can easily surface. This is why a sleeping baby might laugh at a joy they can't possibly explain or cry for a loss they've never known. They are, quite literally, living in two worlds at once.
But of course, as a child grows, that whiteboard of their new brain starts to fill up. The sights and sounds of this life become stronger, and those echoes of the past grow fainter. This leads to a really profound question. If every one of us carries this enormous library of past lives inside, why is the door to that library locked? Why are we designed to forget?
But really, pause and think about that. Would you truly want to remember it all? Every joy, sure, but also every single heartbreak, every mistake, every loss, from maybe dozens or even hundreds of lives?
Is this forgetfulness some kind of cosmic mistake, or is it a blessing?
The answer we find in the source material is absolutely clear. This forgetfulness is not a curse. It is an act of profound mercy, a divine protection system built right into our existence.
The reasons for this are just so compassionate. First, let's be honest, the emotional weight of just one lifetime is immense. To carry the grief, the failures, the pain of 100 lifetimes all at once, it would be an unbearable burden. It would probably shatter the mind. And what about love? The attachments we have in this life are already so powerful. Can you imagine being haunted by the love and loss of every family, every friend you've ever known? We'd be paralyzed, completely unable to move forward.
So ultimately, this forgetting is a gift. It's a gift of focus. It clears the slate so that we can fully engage with the lessons and the people of our current life without being drowned by the sorrows of the past. But, and here is the final, most beautiful twist in this story, forgetting does not mean it's erased. The library might be locked, but all the books are still on the shelves. That entire history is still there, written on the immortal fabric of your citta. In fact, it's the very foundation of who you are today.
The great poet Rabindranath Tagore captured this feeling perfectly. To remain in oblivion is not to forget completely. That history, every single life you have ever lived, is still stored within your causal mind, like a vast, unfolding panorama. It's said that through deep spiritual practice, or sadhana, a person can quiet their mind enough to actually get a glimpse of this inner panorama. But there's a fascinating catch. It's much, much easier to see someone else's past than your own. Why? Because to see your own history, to face old failures or be blinded by past glories, could either crush you with despair or inflate your ego, completely derailing the journey you're on. So even though we don't consciously remember, our past self is never dormant. It's an active force right now. As Tagore so beautifully wrote, sometimes we feel this pull from behind. And when we finally look, we realize it's our own past, our old habits and momentums, holding us back like an anchor.
But, and this is so important, that very same force can work in the exact opposite direction. For someone on a spiritual path, the momentum built up from past efforts can become a powerful engine. The past self isn't an anchor anymore. It becomes a mighty tailwind, pushing them forward with a strength and inspiration that seems to come from nowhere.
And so that leaves us with a question for our own reflection. We may not remember the details, but the force of our past is with us in this very moment. In your deepest dreams and your most stubborn struggles, can you feel it? Is your past self an anchor holding you back, or is it the wind in your sails pushing you forward? If this journey into the mind was meaningful for you, then continue to explore life's biggest questions with us. Like the video, click the bell icon, and subscribe to receive similar content. Thank you for joining us.